Okay. Can you please help read? Devin, can you help us read the title of today's notes? Thank you. Adam, can you help us read the guidelines? Number 1.
I like the question. Any numbers or equations and any keywords for help.
Yeah, you want to highlight important information. Number 2, Suzuki, help us with number 2, please.
What equation is given?
Good. Okay. Number 3, Riley.
Use the question to determine what piece of information or X intercept, Y intercept, X value of vertex, Y value of vertex.
Good. Let's recap really quickly. How do we find the x-intercept? Make y go to 0. How do we find the y-intercept? Make x equal to 0. How do we find the vertex? Yeah, the x coordinate would be negative b. Let's fill this in. Negative b divided by 2a. Yep. So x coordinate of the vertex, y'all, is negative b divided by 2 times a. Once you have the x coordinate of the vertex, how do you get the y coordinate of the vertex? Plug x in. Okay. And then they may ask you for a particular value. Hannah, can you help me read number 4, please? Oh, yeah, I didn't even take. Okay. Maggie, number 4?
Solve using whatever method necessary given what you are trying.
Good. We are in a unit called what again? Quadratics, right? There are 4 ways to solve. Give me one of those. Completing the square. Next. Quadratic formula. Next. Factoring. Next. Your favorite method. Graphing. Okay. Graphing. So there are 4 ways to solve. So you can solve it however you like at this time. Then Grace, can you help me with number 5, please?
Check your answers if the answer makes sense in the context of the problem.
Perfect. Hey, get your calculator ready. There's lots and lots of big numbers. If you don't have a calculator, go borrow one. You don't need a fancy one. Just a basic calculator so we can do some basic math.
Sorry.
Elena, can you help me read number 1, please?
A model for the height of an arrow shows the area h equals 16 t squared plus 72 t plus 5, where t is time in seconds and h is height in feet. What is the value of the h intercept? What does that tell you about the path of the arrow? What is the value of the t intercept? What does that tell you about the path of the arrow?
Perfect. For this one, you have an arrow that's being shot up in the air. Then they give you an equation. Right? We want to highlight this equation because probably this is the main one that we are going to use. Instead of using x and y, they use what variable? T and h. So t is now your x. Would you guys agree? H is now your y, okay, your output. T is measured in time in what unit of measurement? Seconds. H is the height in what unit of measurement? Feet. So this one has 2 components. I'm going to divide my paper into 2. It says, what is the value of the h-intercept? And tell me about that value. Okay. How do we find h-intercept? H-intercept is the same as what intercept? Y. You're right. All right. H-intercept. That means what must be 0? T must be 0. Well, what happens when t is 0? H equals negative 16 times 0 square plus 72 times 0 plus 5. So what's happening? 5. Perfect. Unit of measurements? Feet. We can box that up. H-intercept is at 5 feet. What does this mean? What does this tell us about the path of the arrow? What does it mean to have an H-intercept at 5 feet when time is 0? In plain English, how do we interpret this? Is it going anywhere right now? No. Chris?
At 0 seconds, the arrow is about 5 feet in the air.
You're right, but what does that mean? What is that? Where are we?
The arrow shot at 5 feet.
Starts out, you mean? Yeah. Would you guys agree with that statement? The arrow starts out at how many feet high? 5. Before it goes anywhere. Before we can even start shooting. Okay. So the arrow starts out at 5 feet high. That's it hasn't gone anywhere yet. Arrow starts out at 5 feet high. Okay. We haven't gone anywhere yet, and that's a path arrow. We haven't gone anywhere. Just starting out. Okay. The second sentence says, or the third really, what is the value of the T intercept? T intercept is very similar to what intercept again? X. So that means y must be 0. So can I say h must be 0? Okay. So 0 equals negative 16 t squared plus 72 t plus 5. How do we solve for T intercept? You have 4 different ways. You just gotta pick one. What would you like to try today? Sure, you can definitely try to factor. Quadratic formula. Okay. So the quadratic formula said x equals. Okay. So b equals negative b. B value is what? 72. So negative 72 plus or minus b squared, which is 72 squared, minus 4 times a. A is what? Negative 16, right? Times c. C is 5 all over 2 times negative 16. All right, use your calculator cautiously. I want you to punch in 72 minus 4 times negative 16 times 5. Give me the number that's under the radical. And I'm going to ask 2 students to do this so we can check each other's answer. So just give me what's under the radical so we can. So don't go too far. I just want to know what's under the radical. Okay. So Santana, give me your answer when you're ready, okay? And then Brian, you're going to do it, and then we're going to check. Okay, 5,504. And then Brian, let me know so that way we can check Santana's answer. Just what's under the radical, Brian. Just 72 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 5. Okay, so do you guys agree with those? 5,504. Now take the radical button, hit square root that. Round it to 2 decimal places since it didn't say right here. So if you hit the square root of that, Alan, what is the square root of 5,504?
74.2.
74, 2 decimal places, 0.2 what? 3, okay, divided by, would you agree that the denominator is negative 32? Like that. Okay, now we have to solve for t. That means in an application we have to separate these. So we're going to do negative 72 plus positive 74.23 divided by negative 32. Second equation is t equals negative 72 minus 74.23 divided by negative 32. Would you agree that you're solving for time? Okay, so before we go and punch everything in, on the first equation for time, would you get a positive answer or a negative answer, even without calculating it? On the first one, would you get a positive or negative?
Positive.
On the first one, negative 72 plus 74.23, is that going to give you a positive or negative numerator? On the numerator? The numerator will be positive. True or false? Divided by a negative number. That would be negative. In an application, can you have a negative time unit? No, so can I cross that out without wasting my time punching that in? Yeah, you want to look at it and be like, okay, this is going to work and this is not going to work. Okay? Now if you don't believe us, is it okay to punch it in? Okay? So if you look at this and said, okay, that will give me a negative time unit, that's not possible, I'm going to ignore it. Now the bottom, you punch it in, and I'm going to ask 2 students to give me the answer so we can verify the answer. Round to 2 decimal places. Yes, you can have half of a second or minute. So time, you could definitely have decimals. So punch both in. Round to 2 decimal places. Okay, so negative 72 minus 74.20.23. Then divide that after you get an answer, divide by negative 32. So Olivia, whenever you're ready, go ahead and give me the answer.
4.5.
One more time.
4.5.
4.56. Okay. Kyler, can you confirm? What did you get, hon? Bless you.
I got like 4.56, yeah.
Okay, so confirm. Then the unit of measurement class will be seconds. True or false? Yes. Now, what does that mean? Okay. Remember, the arrow started out how many feet high? 5 feet high. This second half says, give me the X intercept. That means the height is what? 0. It started out here, and then all of a sudden, 4 seconds and 56 seconds, 4.56 seconds later, it's back down here. What happened? It went up, and then it went back down. So use a complete sentence. What does that mean here at this answer? This answer meaning what? How do you interpret this? H equals 0 meaning? What's the arrow? On the ground. How many minutes later? 4.56. So the arrow landed on the ground in 4.56 seconds. Okay? So that's what we want to write. The arrow landed on the ground in 4.56 seconds. Or you can write any version of that. It doesn't have to be word for word. Did I give you guys enough space? The back, if the notes on the back page is blank, then just turn to the back and write that in. Okay. 2, can you please, Kenzie, help us read 2.
A gardener is putting a wire fence along the edge of his garden to keep animals from eating his plants. If he has 20 meters of fence, what is the largest rectangle area?
Okay, so he has 20 meters of fence, and he wants to find the largest rectangle area of his garden. 20 meters of fence. What does that represent? Think about it in real life. What does fencing represent? Is it the perimeter? What shape are we using today? A rectangle. So we're going to draw it out. We will draw this out of rectangle shape. We will label the rectangle. We can call it length and width, or base and height, and X and Y. What variable would you like to use today? Length and width. So L and width. Okay. So this is W, and this is also L on the top. You have a total perimeter of how much? 20. 20 meters. What is the formula of a perimeter? Yeah, don't I just add up all the sides? Yeah, definitely. 2 lengths of the rectangle equal to 2 widths. So 2 lengths plus 2 widths equal 20 meters total. But the question doesn't want to find the perimeter. We gave you the perimeter. What is it interested in? The biggest area of his garden, right? Gosh, how do we do that? What's an area formula of a rectangle? Yeah, so our interest is really in the area. We want the largest area, which is length times width. We would like to solve for the biggest area. We have one equation of an area, and you have two variables. That's not possible to solve. So what we have to do is solve for one of the letters or one of the variables from the perimeter. What variable would you like to solve from the perimeter? Sure, let's do W. Solve for W from here. So solve for W, meaning that you will subtract 2L from both sides. Yes, no, maybe? Okay, so that's going to be 2W equals 20 meters minus 2L. Remember, you're subtracting 2L from both sides. So 2W equals 20 minus 2L. You're solving for W because Kyla said so. What's your next step? Divide each and every term by 2. Remember, solving for a particular variable means you have to isolate it. Nothing else can be with it. So 2, 2, and 2. 1W is equivalent to 10 minus 1L. You're right. Well, guess what we're going to do with that? Plug it in. You're right. Okay. So now your area is, every time I see a W, I would now substitute with 10 minus L. We are going to distribute because our goal is to find the largest area. So that's going to be 10L minus L squared. I'm going to write this in order, not because it's better or anything like that, because if I don't, you guys tend to make a mistake with which one's A and which one's B, okay? This is negative L squared plus 10L. Okay. Can you guys just see I just rewrote the square term first? Okay, well, what shape is this, if I said? Graph it out. It's a parabola, because it's square. Opening up or opening downward? Opening downward. The input is L. Yes or no? That represents what again? The length. Input is the length. What's the output? The output is area. I'm looking for the biggest area. So I want you to imagine this picture. It's a parabola opening down. I'm looking for the biggest area. Where would that be? Very top or very bottom? Very bottom? Probably top, because isn't the top higher than the bottom? What do we call that at the top in a parabola? What? It's called vertex? Okay. So let me give you a visual. We have the input, which is the length now, no longer called x. We have the y, which is called the area now. Would you agree that it's opening upside down, just like that? We are interested in the biggest area. That is the vertex. Well, how do you find the vertex? Negative b, that's right. Bless you. Vertex. The x-coordinate is going to be negative b divided by 2a. Do we know what b is? Yes. What b? 10. That's why I wrote it, so that way you are not confused with a and b. B is 10, so that's a negative 10. What's a? Negative 1. So right now, the length happened to be how many feet out? 5. Class, this is 5. This is 5. But that's just the length. I'm looking for the biggest area. Now what do? Plug it back into the area formula. So now we go, okay, area is negative 5 squared plus 10 times 5. Total, that is, what's that? 5 squared would be 25 times negative 1 in the front. Negative 25 plus 10 times 5. What's 10 times 5? 50. So negative 25. Final answer is 25. So now, in a complete sentence, we would write the largest area would be what? Largest area is 25 what? Feet squared. Make sure you have the correct unit of measurement. Okay. Yes. Your negative a, because this is area equals negative L squared plus 10L. So that's kind of saying negative x squared plus 10x. So this is a is always in front of x squared. Meters with the x, there's no c. Is it meters? Oh, who gave me feet? Meters. Meters square. Thank you. Good eye, guys. Guys. All right. Bust out your Chromebook. I'm about to teach you how to do regression. We did linear regression already when we did the Barton project. Now we are about to do quadratic regression. Go to decimals. Okay, so go to decimal for me. I know, that's what I'm going to use. Take out your decimals. Okay, so go to decimals really quickly. Can you help me read Nathaniel? Example 3.
The height of the projectile fired straight up in the air with an initial velocity of 64 feet per second is h equals 64t minus 64t squared, where h is height in feet and t is time in seconds. The table represents the data for another projectile. Which projectile went higher? At what times t will each project be at the height of 60?
Okay, so there are lots of components. How many objects do we have? 2 different objects. The first one, the first object, they gave you an equation already. They said, okay, h is the height, 64 times t minus 16t squared. Notice how it's written not in standard form. What's a value here? Negative 16, so be very cautious when it's writing this way. What's your b value? 64. What's c? 0. Okay, so where h is the height in feet, so this time we can use feet, and times in second. Now it says the table represents the same object or different object? Different object. So guys, another projectile is the table. It did not give it to you in the equation. They asked you a few different parts. Which projectile went higher? So we will start with projectile 1, which is your equation. Again, if I were to rewrite it in standard form with the a's in the front, I'm going to write negative 16t squared plus 64t. This will avoid us to mix up your a and your b variable. How do we find the highest location? What do we call it? Vertex. The x-coordinate of the vertex would be negative b divided by 2a. What's your b value here, hon?
What?
B value for our projectile equation 1. B is?
I'm confused.
I'm just looking for a and b. What's your a value for this equation?
60.
Negative 16. B value for this equation is? 64. The x-coordinate of the vertex is negative b over 2a. So what is negative b value, hon? Right, negative 64. Divided by 2 times. What's your a value, hon? Good, negative 16. All right, y'all. Negative 64 divided by negative 32 is? Dose. That is 2 seconds. Okay. Is it 2? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. Yes or no? What are we looking for? 2 seconds? It says which projectile went higher? So I need to find what? The height, right? I gotta plug it in. So at 2 seconds, when h of 2 is Let's plug that in. Negative 16 times quantity 2 square plus 64 times 2. All right, use your calculator, punch it in, give me the height. At 2 seconds is when this object went the highest. Now we're going to use a calculator and get the height in feet. So, Dahlia, whenever you are ready, give us an answer. And then, Chris, I would like you to punch it in so we can check Dahlia's answer. What is it, Dahlia? Good. Chris, check it for me. Dahlia has 64. Confirm or deny, Chris? 64. Perfect. So, guys, object 1 went max height of what? Yep. Max height is 64 feet. All right. Now we have to compare it to object 2. This is where you use your Desmos because it didn't give you an equation. Do you guys remember how to enter in your data? Good. Enter your data so I can tell you how to achieve the equation. Object 2 is all decimal. You don't even have to do any math. Decimal will do it for you. Right? What do we enter? What do we press to enter the data? Plus sign. Hit the plus sign. And then go to table. Exactly. Right? Well, I'm going to walk around to see if all the tables are entering correctly. I need you to talk to your people. Talk to your friends. Talk to your partner. Once you have the table, I will give you instructions to put up and you. That's okay. Once you have the table, I will tell you what to do next. But right now, perfect, that table. This table, right? Object number 2. Okay, guys, you're entering object number 2, which is the green highlighted. Anyone that's still not known how to enter in the table, so I can come around and help. Listen to this. Moving over. Where's your S? Where's your S dead. All right. Mine is dead. All right. Next, guys, if you enter in the dots, it's only giving you dots. I'm interested in the equation. Ready? Here we go. Object 2. You'd use Desmos. I would now like for you to use Y1 approximately. Remember that Desmo used that wavy bar instead of equal? Okay. Your standard form of the quadratic equation is A subscript 1x squared. Do you guys remember those x1s and y1s in linear regression? Okay. Plus bx1 plus c. Enter in the blank box below and Desmo will give you an equation. Go. Go to the next box. Enter that in. The subscript 1, that's not comma. That's your x1 and y1. Look at your table. Isn't Desmo using x1 and y1 on the table? Look at your decimals. Not mine. I don't have a decimal. Look at your table. Can you see Desmo on the table is using x1 and y1? So our equation has to have the same inputs and there. Okay, everyone enter that in. Guys, X out all of this stuff. Don't do anything that is not asking. Okay? Yeah, there's a subscript. You don't know what the subscript is. You let me know. And talk to your friend if I can't get to you quick enough. Wavy bar. Good. Now do a wavy bar. Second. Perfect. There you go. And then enter the rest. Guys, I need you to write this equation in your notes. You will need this equation for your project. What did you do wrong? You don't have an x1. Remember, look at my equation. Where's your subscript x1? Yeah. Anyone else? Good. Grace got it going. Got it going. Perfect. You got it all going on. Good job. Where's your grade? Where's just died? That's why. You got a dead Chromebook.
No, that's
Then that's the problem.
Subscript should be. Well, this is like AX squared.
Yours are like still in
You're so different. Now, okay, there are questions about this, and let me just kind of bring this up. Guys, decimal does not use equal when you're doing linear regression. We use this. This is what we normally use. True or false? That's what we normally use. If you look at decimals in the x side, it uses x sub 1. On the y side, it uses y sub 1. So that's why our decimals inputs are x1 and y1. Write this in your notes. I will not give you this again for your project, so you've got to use this right here. Okay. Now I would like for you to use your cursor and go to the vertex. Now it's all decimal. Okay. And then someone give me that order pair. Alyssa, give me that order pair from your decimals. 1.5, comma 36. Someone confirm that for me before we go and answer the question. Okay. So would you agree object number 2 has the highest height at 36? Okay. So which one's higher? Object number 1's higher. Okay. It says which projectile went higher? So we're going to say object number 1 went higher. Now, the second half, we're going to do object 2 first before we go to object 1. It says, at what times t will each projectile be at a height of 16 feet? In your decimal, which is object 2. I want you to move your cursor to when the height is 16. And I want you to give me the time. So would you agree that there are 2 locations in object 2 that the height is 16? Okay, move the cursor over. Give me the first one. Write in your notes. So this is all decimal. You click it, you go down. You make it so that way you grab it and see the vertex right now. You aren't going until you see the top. Not pinch it in, go downward. Downwards. You gotta go up 1 and down. How do you get to the top? Right now you're move the graph up. How do you move it? Use your cursor to move it upward. How do you go up and down the screen? Ask your team. How do you go up and down the screen? Karis, can you give me, Karis? Give me this first order pair, hon. Closest to the origin. Something, comma 16. 0.382. Thank you. 0.382, comma 16. 0.382, comma 16. And then give me, Slater, give me the one that's furthest away from the origin. Something, comma 16, Slater. Notice how object 2, no work needed. 6. Whoa, slow down. Hi. 2 point what? 2.618. Thank you. Comma 16. So the object will be at 16 feet at 2 time location. The object, I can't spell object. Here we go. Object 2 will be at 16 feet, because it's asking, at 0.382 seconds and 2.618 seconds, according to the 2 students that gave me those ordered pairs. Yes or no? Yeah. So decimal is really easy to use. You just have to click up some points. Well, object 1 is not as easy because you have to do it algebraically. The height is 16, meaning that you set 16 equal to h. And then you will be solving for what variable? Guess what variable you're going to be solving for? T. To solve for t. By the way, if you look at it, if I were to divide each and every term by 16, would that still give me an equivalency? Yeah, so when you can reduce, you should reduce so you have a smaller number to work with. So if I reduce everything by 16, you're going to get 1 equals negative 1t squared. What's 64 divided by 16? Is that going to give me a nice number or no? 4? Okay. Now how do you solve for t? Minus 1 over, set equals to 0. So 0 equals negative t squared plus 4t. If I minus 1 over, would you agree that's a minus 1 to the right? You can solve this by completing a square or quadratic formula or a graph. Which one is your favorite method? Complete square? Oh, because b it's even. You don't have to complete square. Feel free to use your quadratic formula. So, but Chris said, okay, I'd like complete the square. Here we go. 0 equals negative. Did you factor out negative 1 then, Chris? Yeah. Negative 1 positive t squared minus 4t plus a blank space. Okay. And then I'm going to minus the 1 back there. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is what? 4. Remember, it's on the same side. So if it's on the same side, you add it, meaning you must subtract, because you can only add a 0. So minus 4, but this 4 is really being multiplied by what? A negative 1. So completing the square means you go the next step. Negatives in the front. T minus 2 quantity square. Negative 4 times a negative 1 is now a positive 4. Positive 4 and a minus 1 is now a positive what? Positive what? 3. Okay. Now solving for t, meaning you're isolating t. Next step, would you agree that I can move the 3 to the left side? Move this to the left. What would you get on the left side? We move the 3 to the left. Minus 3. Okay. So we now have a minus 3 equals a negative quantity, t minus 2. Then divide both sides by negative 1. So you now have a positive 3 equal to t minus 2 quantity square. What's your next step? Square root. So that's a positive and negative radical 3 equals t minus 2. What's rad 3? Use your calculator for me. Punch it in. Point something. I mean 1 point something. 1 point what, Chris? 1.73 equals t minus 2. Okay, shh. Last step. T is add 1 to both sides. So plus or minus 1.73 plus 2. Question number 1. Am I going to get 2 answers or 1? 2, because they're both going to give me positive time. So one of it right away is 1.73 plus 2, right? T equals 1.73 plus 2. That will give me 3.73 seconds.
Good morning,
Ooh.
Oilers. This is Grace Neat.
And I'm Tim Withers with your morning announcement.
Please stand for the pledge.
27 seconds. It's a second.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
Calling all singers, musicians, poets, and spoken word